PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
It's Kim versus TC in the battle of the lists.
My list is better.
My list is better.
My list is better.
No, it's not. My list is better.
Kim or TC, who has the better list? From Subject Cinema, this is Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another week here on Front Row 5 and 10, brought to you by the same people that bring you Subject Cinema. That would be me and him, the me being Kim Brown.
And the him being TC Kirkham. Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Lots of fun on our Front Row 5 and 10. This is our entertainment list show. We do lists, top 10 or top 5s on everything. We cover everything on the show. Everything under the sun. And we'd love to hear your ideas for some lists. If you send us a list idea and we use it, you get a prize, you get your name on the show, you get your name on the website. Really easy. Write us with your ideas at frontrow@pnrnetworks.com and write us and let you know how you like the show, too. Because we know a lot of people are listening and we never hear from you, though. So we'd like to hear from you.
Yes,
You picked this week's topic.
I did. This week's topic is our top 10 favorite songs that feature cities or a specific city or are talking about a specific city.
Mm-hmm. The city has to be in the lyrics, doesn't have to be in the title.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Well, actually, it doesn't even have to be in the song. If you know it's about a
right.
One of my songs
Mine
is
too.
like that.
One of mine's like that too. But it's very clearly you can get the picture from where it's coming from.
Yes, definitely.
I got to say I'm an overachiever. I had 60 plus songs on my list.
TC's a music overachiever?
I'm a music junkie.
Mm.
I had 60 plus songs and I wasn't even done, but I decided I'm just going to go with what I have.
Yeah, I totally created a monster with this.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. Oh, my Spotify was just burning. And I had to, I also have to say this. I didn't think it would be fair to include songs that had cities in the title that were instrumentals.
Okay.
So there's no Poor People of Paris by Les Baxter, no Calcutta by Lawrence Welk, no Lisbon Antigua by Nelson Riddle. All those are out the wayside because they're not.
That's great because I don't know what the hell you just said.
They're all instrumentals named after cities.
Great, nifty. I've never heard of any of those songs.
I also consciously elected, because I think we'll probably do it sometime in the future, or down the road, not to include any Broadway songs.
Oh.
You could have. I don't care. I almost did it. I know, no.
I did because it was in a movie. So.
Well, yeah, the one I was thinking of was in a movie too, but it's in my honorable mentions instead of on the top 10. So anyway. All right, so who starts?
Well, it was my list, so I think you should start.
My number 10 is a classic from the 1960s, and everybody knows it. If you don't know it, it's been done everywhere from, TV, film. It's been in movies, countless TV shows. The generation that listens to our show may know it for a video they did on Animaniacs featuring Slappy Squirrel. My number 10 is Jan and Dean's Little Old Lady from Pasadena. Love this song. It's just so fun. It was, I think, their biggest hit, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Surf City was bigger, and maybe Dead Man's Curve was bigger. I don't know. I didn't look at the charts, but this is just like, it's a little old lady driving a 1960s hot rod and getting speeding tickets all the time because she got a lead foot. I'm like, I love this song. It's fun. It's funny. It has wonderful harmony from those. Those two guys had the best harmonies on the planet. And I always loved this song from the time I first heard it when I was about 3 or 4. My number 10, Little Old Lady from Pasadena, Jan Indeed.
Well, what's the point of having a sports car if you don't floor it?
I know. Floor it?
No.
Floor it?
No, SpongeBob.
Floor it?
Anyway, all right. My number 10 is actually a tie because I am deeply ashamed of myself. When I made my list, I was like, well, I've made my list and everything's done and I'm happy with it. And then...
You really shouldn't admit to this.
I know. But I want to be honest.
I let her have one of my honorable mentions because she forgot it.
I want to be honest with our fans. He sends me his list of songs that he... like his honorable mention, and I'm looking through it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, don't know that one, don't know that one, don't know that one, and that went on for a while, until I got to this one song, and I went, holy cheese whiz, this is not on my list. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
So we don't consult about these, and we don't reveal them to each other ahead of time, but I told her, I showed her my honorable mentions, and I'm like, okay, you can have that one, because you deserve it. You forget it, you're going to look silly.
Yeah, okay. But I'm going to say which... So my number 10 that gets added on...
B. 10B.
10B is the Blue Oyster Cult hit Godzilla from the album Spectres from 1977.
One of the only songs by that group that I actually like.
It is obviously a song talking about the destruction that the King of the Monsters rains on Japan when he makes one of his visits. And the song brings up, oh no, there goes Tokyo. And it's just...
also says go stomp Tokyo at some point in the duo, so...
I'm not sure about that, but I
remember that. It might be a live version. I don't know. They used to play it all the time on the Blitz when I was listening to that back in Ohio.
It's been covered by a whole bunch of people. Everybody from the band Mo, Sebastian Bach covered it on a live album. I love Godzilla. The song, I love Godzilla, the character, everybody knows that. It's a great song, and it really describes Godzilla perfectly. And it does mention the beautiful city of Tokyo, which is not a beautiful city once Godzilla shows up.
No.
So my number 10B is Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult. Number 10A is a completely different type of song.
Okay.
Which I found out about and really got into because of our shared love of hardcore wrestling. My number 10 is California Love by Tupac Shakur, featuring Dr. Dre and Roger Troutman.
It was used on ECW.
It was
all
used
the time.
a lot by Extreme Championship Wrestling.
Another
back
one of
in
the few songs I like by Tupac too.
Back in the
I forgot
day.
about that one though.
And I think that was the first place I actually heard California Love was watching ECW, and I was like, I really like this song, and I went and sought out the video. And the song brings up, it mentions LA, it mentions Compton, the Bay Area, lots of other places. I thought Tupac was a magnificent musician and a great singer and rapper, gone way too soon. We still miss him because he was just really incredible. So my 10A song, favorite song, talking about a city, California Love.
We're going to have a lot of things that are going to be like, oh, I forgot about that one, because there's so many of them out there. And I only got 60-something. I'm sure I could have probably pulled 300 or 400 together if I'd taken the time. My number 9, I have always loved this song, and Kim can't stand it.
Ta-da!
I think it's because she just got sick of it when it was on the radio all the time. It's one of those songs that when I was with DiscJockey.com, it would have made our what we call that station, musical melodramas. It has a story song to it. It's a story behind it. It's a true story according to the songwriter, and I've always wondered why he has a solid core following, but he's never had another big hit. And this was a hit on the pop chart, on the AC chart. It even charted on the country chart, I think, for a while. And I enjoyed it. Cher did a great remake of it in the mid-90s. It's kind of weird because it is a man-based song. Cher did a whole album called It's a Man's World with man-based songs before she took off again with Believe. But I love the original. Number 9, Mark Cohn's Walking in Memphis. I roll right there. I knew it. This is a great song. It has a great hook all the way through it. Mark Cohn is an amazing vocalist, and I have always loved that song. I just think it's incredible melody. It tells a lot about the inner soul of this songwriter that Mark Cohn is. I think he is still married to ABC News' Elizabeth Vargas. They were married, I know, well, she got sick and he got sick or something, or he had an accident or something. And I know that was the reason why that he didn't get out there much for a couple of years. But I'd still love to see him in concert. I had a chance to, and I know Kim. Why do you not like this song?
I just got sick of it.
But you said you didn't care for it much to begin with. So
no, I don't know why. I just found it so maudlin sounding. I usually think of Memphis as this very up and exciting place, and it just seems such a maudlin song.
I don't know. I just always thought it was beautiful. My number 9.
And it talks about the ghost of Elvis, and that makes me sad.
I know. My number 9, Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohn. Also a great version by Cher, if you haven't heard it.
Okay. My number 9 is the first of 2 songs that are identified with one specific artist. Although,
you're going to give that away, huh?
Although a lot of people have covered this song.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are people in one specific genre, but other people have done it too. My number 9 is Folsom Prison Blues. Written and mostly performed, as people know, by the incredible Johnny Cash. Folsom Prison Blues talks about, it's a POV song from the point of view of a person in Folsom Prison. He's there because he shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. And it's a really interesting song. I mean, the first time I ever heard it, I was like, wow. It was just... It was such
My stepfather at one time was a huge Johnny Cash fan. Loved the guy.
It was just a real different sounding song, and I was like, wow, this is really compelling. There have been a ton of people that have done covers of this song. People from, Bob Dylan and the band, Waylon Jennings, Jerry Lee Lewis, Brooks and Dunn.
Brooks and Dunn did a cover of it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Reverend Horton Heat, don't ask. And all the way up to Hunter Hayes. And
really? I haven't heard that either. I'll have to check that out.
And also the fact that the title of the song is actually the title of an episode of Supernatural. Doesn't hurt. So, my number 9, Folsom Prison Blues.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Had to slip that in.
Yeah.
Hey, they've got great taste in titles. What can I say?
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, great taste in plagiarized titles.
Shut up! It's not plagiarism, it's a tribute.
My number 8 is, I like the acoustic version of this, which came out about 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I like the original, which is actually from, oh Lord, it's 20 years old this year. But the acoustic version came out 5 or 6 years ago, and they're both great, but they sound completely different because the guy singing them's voice changed considerably between the 2 songs, between the 2 eras. But it's the only song I can think of that's actually on here. Well, there's one of 2 songs on here that have a humorous element about it. It's supposed to be a funny song, but not in the way that it would be like a Dr. Demento staple.
Right.
But it does have a kind of funny vibe running through it. And when you see the kind of stuff that they do with this live, it is amazing and charming and hilarious. And it's my boys. What can I say? Number 8, Hanson, Man from Milwaukee, from their first album, Middle of Nowhere, and the acoustic version. Unless you're a fan club member, you can't have it. And I am. So
to be perfectly frank, I'm surprised it's that low.
Well, it's a good song, but it's not. There's other songs that I like better. Although one of these songs I have on this list is here for shock value. I admit that, and it's the next one. Zach Hanson sings lead on this. You guys mostly, if you don't know who they are, Zach is the drummer. Taylor is the pianist and lead singer usually, and Ike is the guitarist and the oldest. I'm a Hanson fanatic. I have been for 20 years now. I have been a huge fan of theirs from the very beginning.
Yeah. We've actually been to see them twice.
And it's been amazing show. They put on an amazing show.
Yeah.
And
almost got in a fist fight at the first show, but
that was before the first show.
Yeah.
Because we're waiting in line and everybody, oh, what are you waiting to see? Because the House of Blues is right across the street from Fenway. And everybody going to the Sox game was like, oh, what are you in line to see? Hanson. Oh, Bop. And it's 20 years since that happened. So it's like, okay.
We kept getting accosted by these drunk mothers, and guess who almost got in the fist fight? Hint, it wasn't
I admit,
him.
I did not buy tickets for the new concert tour because I'm getting to the point where I just can't stand for 5 hours at the House of Blues. There's no seats. And I like the venue for the sound. The acoustic is good, but it's just a pain in the ass. But I loved seeing them in concert. Number 8, the song tells the story about a kid sitting at a bench on a bus stop, and next to him is a guy wearing his underwear, talking on a walkie-talkie. It's hysterical. And like I said, if you can find the acoustic version, which is a fan club only thing, sorry, it's great. But the original's good too, although Zach's voice changed because he was only 12 when he did it on the original album. Number 8, Man from Milwaukee by Hanson.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 8 on my list is actually from a Broadway show. I didn't actually see the Broadway show
until after she saw the film.
Yeah. No, actually.
No, you didn't see it.
No.
Okay, so it's not what I'm thinking of then. Okay.
No, it's not something from Rent.
Oh, okay.
No, my number 8 is Good Morning Baltimore from Hairspray.
That's from a movie. That was on my short list. My honorable mention.
Well, yeah, it was. Yeah. They did the original film.
It's in the musical based on the original film, and then was brought to the musical too.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Good Morning Baltimore is the opening musical number of Hairspray. Hairspray tells the story of Tracy Turnblad, a Rubenesque young lady growing up in the early 60s in Baltimore, Maryland, and her dream of dancing on a local show that's kind of like American Bandstand for the Baltimore set. Mm-hmm. And the thing I love about this song is the song says a lot about Baltimore, not terribly positively, but it does, talking about rats and winos and flashers and stuff like that. But the thing that I really love about this song is what it says about Tracy. The fact that Tracy is this ray of sunshine and this very bubbly, optimistic, genuinely good, kind-hearted person. And it's a great opening number. And I have absolutely adored every person I've seen play it. Mm-hmm. That would include, the original Tracy in the first film was Ricky Lake.
Which wasn't a musical.
No. And Marissa Jarrett Winokur has played her on stage. Nikki Blonsky played her in the film.
And we didn't see the Hairspray live. We never got around to watching it on
NBC.
We did. No, we didn't. We saw Grease live.
We saw Grease live. Yeah, that's right.
We didn't see Hairspray live.
No, you're right. Sorry.
It's out on DVD in May. So
yeah. And I just love this song. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And it's also because I do have a soft spot in my heart for Nikki Blonsky, who sang it in the film, because I really, honest to goodness, I wish there had been a girl like Nikki around when I was a young girl. Mm-hmm. Because she's just wonderful and a great role model and shows that you don't have to be a stick figure to be a great singer. And she's a wonderful singer, and this is a wonderful song. My number 8, Good Morning Baltimore.
Yeah, that was on my honorable mentions. Mm-hmm. I love that song. My number 7, okay, it's not really for shock value, sort of, but it's a good song. It's who does it that's more of the shock value. Sporting events have their own shows, have their own songs around different areas of the country. Miami Heat has a couple of songs, and Chicago Bulls, I'm sure, have a couple of songs. And we've had the infamous the battle of the Super Bowl teams a few times too. Super Bowl Shuffle was actually a big hit for the Chicago Bears, while the Patriots at the time, first time in the Super Bowl, came up with this really bland song called New England, the Patriots and Me. I'm like, now, of course, they would never think of doing that. They're a franchise.
We're never going to live that down, are we?
No, because it's a bad song. Anyway, nobody ever thinks of the Indianapolis 500. Indianapolis is like, it had its 100th running last year. It's been around almost longer than any other sport. And back in the 1980s, there was actually a song about it, and it was fantastic. Yes, it was done by a prepubescent boy band from Puerto Rico, but it was still a good song. Number 7, Indianapolis by Menudo. This was one of their first songs with Robbie Rosa as their lead vocalist. It's actually better in Spanish, even though I don't speak Spanish. The pronunciation in the Spanish version of Indianapolis is better than it is in the English version on the other album. So it's like, but I always liked Menudo too. I just thought they were a great gimmick idea, and they came up with some great songs. And they must have been doing something right. Let's think about this. Robbie Rosa, Ricky Martin, how many other big stars? A lot of big stars still in the Spanish-speaking community are still out there. Xavier Zerbia is a regular financial guy on Univision. And he was the first blonde to ever be in the band. And a lot of these guys have continued to do other things. But this Menudo was Charlie, Ricky, Robbie, Roy, and Ricky first Ricky, not Ricky Martin. And who else was there? Ray Reyes. So that was when Robbie he was the first English-speaking thing. Number 7, Menudo's Indianapolis.
Okay. Number 7 for me, I really didn't know very much about this song. I knew I liked it, but when I did the background research on it, I was like, oh, this isn't written by who I thought it was. Oh, it's not even from this country originally. And it seems like every other country has their own version of this song. My number 7 is I've Been Everywhere. Which I think...
That's an overachiever. You're thinking of the Johnny Cash recording. Yes.
That's the one I'm talking about. I
totally forgot about that one.
I love I've Been Everywhere. I've Been Everywhere is a really funny, cute little song about a person that winds up getting picked up on the side of the road by a truck driver that gives them a ride. And the person makes a comment about how dusty and sandy the road is, and the truck driver responds saying that he's traveled every road in this here land, and then proceeds to launch into, I've been here and 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 pretty much everywhere but Delta Vega. And I mean, it doesn't hurt, once again, that they actually do mention Boston at the beginning of the song and the second verse of the song. But I actually found out that this song is not originally from America, first of all. Shock. I didn't even know that.
No, I didn't either.
The song it's an Australian song that was written by a country singer named, an Australian country singer.
Yeah, they have them. Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Keith Urban.
Okay, yeah, fine. I mean, it just sounds odd to me, but, you know.
Even Rolf, what's his name, could probably be considered
well, I mean, Australia is a country, and the people do sing there.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Anyway.
A gentleman named Jeff Mack in 1959, and it was made very popular by a singer named Lucky Starr in 1962. And the song is originally all about, it's the same song, but it's all Australian towns.
That makes sense that they've been everywhere, because there's only a few everywheres to go to in Australia, because a lot of the country is desert and outback.
Yeah.
So,
but the song is just as long.
I'm sure.
You know, and then it was taken by an American, well, actually a Canadian-born country musician named Hank Snow was the first one that actually did anything with it. And
that's right. Yeah, my grandmother actually had that version.
Yeah.
And
at some, and at one point Johnny Cash did it, and that's the one
Cash
that
had a huge hit with it,
knows, and was actually used in a travel.
Yeah.
I forget if it was like
it was one of the
MapQuest or
it was somewhere. It was one of the online campaigns. Yeah, early on. Yeah. And I totally forgot about that song. I would have put it on there too.
And this song has been picked up by every place that has towns, and there's a version in New Zealand, there's a version in Great Britain and Ireland and Asia and Singapore.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does kind of lend itself. You just got to rhyme your own cities. All.
Canada, Belgium, a bunch of other, other countries.
Belgium, tiny. There's only
Yeah. And it's even been kind of specialized even more. There's a version that's all about Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, Ohio. There's a version of.
God, that's frightening.
There's a Louisiana version called "I've Been Everywhere." Cher.
So that's a Cajun version, obviously. Yeah.
Recorded by a Cajun band called Shoe Peak. I hope I said that even close to correct. And Pennsylvania and Texas.
You'll have to find me the Ohio one. I want to hear that one.
And also one called I've Used Every Swear, which I'm pretty sure is probably not safe for work.
That might be on Dr. Demento if you're lucky, especially the online version.
And there's a children's-oriented version called Let's Go Everywhere, using city names from all over the world, and that was done by Medeski, Martin, and Wood.
Really? Okay.
Called World. It's just... Sitco was the one that used that... the Johnny Cash version.
Okay.
Yeah. And so did Choice Hotels.
Mm-hmm.
That's
like the one I remember, Choice Hotels. Yeah.
I just like it. I mean, it's just kind of...
It's a great song. Absolutely.
I mean, it's a great song that you can't sing with, and you certainly can't try and sing from memory because you'll give yourself a brain cramp. But it's fun.
I can do Life is a Rock from memory.
You would.
It took a lot of practice, but it's possible.
Bless
I don't know
your
if I
heart.
still remember the lyrics or not.
So my number 7, I've Been Everywhere.
By the way, before we forget and before I forget again, as always, when we do the music stuff, there will be a Spotify link for you with a playlist of all the songs we mentioned, plus all my honorable mentions. It's going to be full of probably close to 100 songs. So you should have fun listening to it. What's available on Spotify. Kim has this way of picking songs that I can never find on Spotify for some reason. Of course, I do too. I didn't check all mine, but most of them are there.
This one actually should be pretty okay.
Yeah. My number 6, which I'm thinking, I'll be surprised if it's not on your top 10 somewhere. This song has always been a favorite. I learned to sing it when I was in 6th grade. With our little, when I was in 6th grade out on the coast of Washington, we had a little group of us would go out with, what was her name? I've forgotten. She was a teacher's aide, and she was also an art teacher. She was learning to be an art teacher. And during lunch recess, because they didn't serve lunches, you had to bring your own lunches at the time. They lost the levy and cut the school lunches out. You had 40 minutes at noon to go out and do whatever you did. And we usually gathered up our stuff, took our lunches out, she'd play guitar, and we learned to sing all these folk songs. We learned the Ballad of the Titanic. We learned the Billboard song, and we learned this one. Now, there's 2 prominent songs about this particular thing. One of them is in my honorable mentions, and it's by a gentleman we first saw busking outside of, what's the name of the place? Agnes Arena. When we went to see Glenn Hansard and Marquetta Arklova a few years ago. His name is Stephen Bacon, and he wrote a great song called Charlie Wants to Run, and it's all about the Boston transit system. And the whole album, in fact, that he put out is all about the Boston transit system. Why did he call it Charlie? Because of the hero of the song at number 6, the Kingston Trio's MTA. It stood for Metropolitan Transit Authority, and if you've never heard it, you've lived under a rock for 50 plus years. Excuse me, I got a cough.
Or you're from the West Coast.
I was on the West Coast.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And, everybody knows it. Oh, he never returned. No, he never returned. And his fate is still unlearned. He'll ride forever neath the big streets of Boston. He's the man who never returned. It's a cute little song. It makes no sense logically. And it was done as a campaign song originally for George O'Brien, who was running for mayor of Boston at the time. But it tells the story of Charlie who got on the Boston T system, went somewhere, and then when he got to Jamaica Plain, which is a little suburb area of Boston, it cost 5 cents to get off the train at the time, and he didn't have the nickel, so he had to stay on the train. Does that make any sense to you? It's a great little song, and I've always loved it since I was in 6th grade, and there's been countless versions of this song over the years. But the Kingston Trio is still the original, and it is awesome. The MTA number 6 on my list.
Number 6 on my list has been done by several artists. It's very atypical of the time it was originally done.
Okay.
I actually, to be honest, when I was much younger, it kind of left me flat. As I got older and more appreciative of the original version and the cover versions I've heard, I was like, this is actually pretty good. I actually think this is a really good song. My number 6 is California Dreamin'. The original done by the Mamas and the Papas came out in 1965. It was, like I said, atypical of the music coming out at the time. It had sort of this dreamy quality to it, but it was also very pessimistic. You know,
Yeah, it is. It's a very downbeat song.
Very.
It's one of those. It's almost early Bowling for Soup. The music is actually pretty peppy, but the lyrics are really downbeat.
No, I don't think it's peppy. Like I said, I think it depends
on the version you're listening to.
It has a very dreamlike quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, well, now I want a box of cookies. You know, it's talking about
It's the Koyaanisqatsi of folk songs.
Yeah. It's talking about being cold and not the whole, I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA and all that kind of stuff.
That's another one I totally forgot about, and I love this song, so I'm very ashamed of myself. Bad TC.
It's actually really interesting, according to Michelle Phillips, that it wasn't getting a lot of attention in Los Angeles, and what happened was it was a radio station here in Boston that played it and really made people listen to it, and people were like,
it's back when radio could actually help that really explode.
Hey, this is some really good stuff. There've been a lot of other people that have done versions of this song, including REM. The Beach Boys did an amazing version of this song.
REM did a cover? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sia's cover from San Andreas is awesome. Love her version of that song.
Yep. The Carpenters.
Yep, on a later album released after Karen's death, they did put that out, yep.
It was even done by Jose Feliciano. It's the B-side to his hit, Light My Fire. And it's really a beautiful song.
It is.
But like I said, it is kind of melancholy. But, every once in a while, melancholy is okay.
Yeah.
So my number 6, California Dreamin'.
I love Sia's cover from a couple years ago, like I said, but my favorite version is the Beach Boys version. I love their cover of it. It was the follow-up to Kokomo, which took them back to the top of the charts, and it didn't do that well, and I was really disappointed. I loved it. I really can't believe I forgot that either. That's terrible. My number 5, you were sitting here going like, well, what's an overachiever? We were talking before we started recording.
Well, I didn't understand what you meant.
Yeah, but I've Been Everywhere is certainly an overachiever.
All right.
This song is an overachiever, and in fact that it is another one of those songs that has been recorded by everybody. I've heard it by at least 15 or 20 different artists. I have one particular one that I love, though. And it mentions 12 cities. 12 cities. Mm-hmm. In order: Chicago, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Joplin, Oklahoma City, Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, Winona, Arizona, Kingman, Barstow, and San Bernardino, California. Give you any clue as to what it is?
No.
It was also in slightly variated. This version that I like was also used with a slightly variated spelling for an ad campaign for a soda that was available. I think it was test marketed because it didn't last very long in the Midwest. And it was spelled the way you would spell it for the soda. My number 6 is Manhattan Transfer's awesome cover of the classic chestnut Route 66.
Oh.
I love this song anyway. And they used it for Root, ROOT 66, root beer. For the first few months I was living in Ohio in the early 80s. I'm pretty sure it was just a test market because it didn't last very long. And it wasn't very good either. I tried it. Their version of this song was originally recorded for Sharky's Machine, the Burt Reynolds movie. But their live version from the Manhattan Transfer with the Symphony is also awesome. And I mean, I have to admit, I am a Manhattan Transfer fanatic too. I love them almost as much as I love Hanson. And I always have. And it's a shame I never got to see them in concert, and now I won't because Tim passed away a couple years ago for a heart attack. But it was like they are just amazing, and their perfect 4-part harmonies on this is awesome. It was first popularized by Nat King Cole in the late 50s, and then of course it was recorded by practically every lounge performer over the years. I think Perry Como did it, Dean Martin did it, Sammy did it, anybody part of the Rat Pack probably did it, except I don't think Frank ever did it, and or at least not on an album. But I just love Manhattan Transfer's version of it. It's smooth and jazzy, and it's Manhattan Transfer style. It's Manhattan Transfer. That's all it is. It's awesome. Yep. Number 5, Route 66, Manhattan Transfer.
My number 5 is actually a song you've already mentioned. Yes, it is on my list. And it is a sheer nostalgia thing. My number 5 is MTA. I learned this song when I was in 6th grade at the Veterans Memorial School in Saugus. For some crazy reason, they had us learning all these folk songs. This is the same.
See,
year.
mine was voluntary. I didn't have to do it. I went and did it because I wanted to.
Well, you could sing along, or you could just sit there and listen to the record and listen to everybody else sing and lip sync if you wanted to. I suppose nobody would have cared.
You learned Tom Dooley that year too, didn't you?
We learned.
That's way too a mature song for a sixth grader.
We learned a ton of songs. Well, the thing is, that song didn't upset me. The Unicorn song, that upset me.
Yeah, that would.
I'm like, we're singing about drowning unicorns? What? But we learned Charlie on the MTA. And
you were in 6th grade?
Yeah.
That would have been right around the time the Irish Rover show was on, too, wasn't it? When they used to use the unicorn as their theme song.
I don't know.
No, you must not have got it out here. We got it every year.
But I remember coming home and singing that, and my mother was like, "Oh, I know that song," and all that stuff like that, and it was kind of cool. The MTA song, or MTA, we learned it as done by the Kingston Trio. Mm-hmm. The story of Charlie, who's stuck on a train and can't get off the train because his wife keeps bringing him sandwiches and not money.
Not a freaking nickel.
No, I know.
Why did the damn bitch give him a nickel so he can get off the train? Because she's screwing around with the conductor.
That was Stacy's theory. No, seriously, that was Stacy's theory.
I know.
Hi, Stacy. I would like to make a tiny correction in your what you said earlier. In the song, they do mention at the end of the song, it's, "Now you citizens of Boston, don't you think it's a scandal how the people have to pay and pay? Fight the fare increase, vote for George O'Brien, do it for Charlie on the MTA." The actual man that was running for mayor was a gentleman named Walter O'Brien.
Oh, they didn't use the actual name. Okay, I didn't know that.
Name.
Okay.
The reason they didn't use the actual name is because Walter O'Brien, who was a politician that was trying to become mayor of Boston, was a member of the Progressive Party, which
not a good thing back then.
Yeah, which leaned more towards socialism, and when the Kingston Trio...
Damn commies, anyway.
Yep. So they changed the name to George. This song has been covered by a ton of people.
Everybody.
Yeah. From everybody from There Might Be Giants to...
I bet that's interesting. I've never heard that. That should be fun to find.
Yeah. Well, it's a song... It's not a cover so much as it's a song like that, but it's based on the New York subway. It's called Token Back to Brooklyn.
Oh, that's not the same song.
Actually, also, real quick, I would like to bring up this song is actually based on another song.
Oh, it is?
An even older song called The Ship That Never Returned. And
folk songs did that a lot too back then. Yeah.
It's just a funny little song. It's not going to make much sense it didn't make much sense to me.
Me neither. I learned it in Washington. But I still liked it, and it mentioned Boston, which was my mecca for all eternity and still is, and I live here now. So.
Yeah. It's a great little song.
That is one dream that came true, actually.
Yeah.
Living in the Boston area.
Oh. My number 5, MTA.
My number 4 says it all because it's so easy to think of. And yet, unless you're outside of the continental United States, as some of our listeners probably are, you only know one song by this person because it's the only hit he had. And it was a number 1 smash And then I remember when I was, again, we're talking about late 79, early 1980, I got the local radio station's top 40 charts every week. They mailed them to me because I had asked to be on the mailing list. And it was number 1 for 3 weeks, and then I got the next list, and it had fallen completely off the chart. They just stopped playing it because people were sick of it. But now, look around at any movie set in the anywhere from 1978 to 1988 or 1989. Look for practically any movie set in that era. You will find this song on its soundtrack 90% of the time. It most recently popped up on Sing Street. And it was I still love it. And the title the title doesn't mention the song, but the line right before it does, New York, London, Paris music. Everybody talk about pop music. Number 4. Robin Scott has had other hits around the country, around the world, but never in America. And that's a shame. I always loved this guy. The first album, which is also the title of the album, New York, London, Paris music, Munich, has some great dance stuff on it. And I also bought a couple of follow-ups. I just liked his writing. I liked his style. And it's a shame that pop music remains his only big hit in America, and yet everybody knows it.
Yep.
Every generation learns this song, which is terrifying to me in a strange sort of way. But, by the time you're done with it, you at least know the name of 4 of the biggest cities in the world.
That's true.
Number 4, Pop Music by M.
I actually owned that on a 45.
I have a 45 somewhere around here. I have like 6 different remixes of it,
One of my very few forays into new wave.
Oh, actually, I have more than that. I actually bought off of eMusic. I have an account with eMusic. Downloaded Pop Music, the remixes. There are 27 different remixes of the song on this album, and I think it came out in 2014. It's not that old. And it has the original one too, of course. But
Okay.
Next.
Number 4 for me is what can I say?
Uh-oh.
No, we're going into metal now. We're going into, hard rock and metal.
This is the metaphoric song.
No, actually it's not.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not there yet.
She asked me about that one. I know about that one too, so.
What can I say? When you want the best, you get the best. Mm-hmm. My number 4, Detroit Rock City by Kiss. This is an awesome song. I am an enormous Kiss fan, and he isn't.
That's not true.
Well,
all right, let me tell a little story before you tell your story about your song. I grew up my teenage years were 76 to 82. I graduated high school in 81. I lived in a tiny town in Washington State. Everybody around me was into Kiss. Everybody around me was into Kiss. I listened to ABBA, Donna Summer, Leif Garrett, and a few other things. A lot of disco, a lot of dance music. So naturally, I was not exactly. Although everybody came to me when they wanted to play Name That Tune, or when they wanted to do, because I had the record collection. And I had very little rock stuff in it. And Kiss, my like for Kiss grew as I got older, considerably. But I still don't like that song.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of it.
All right. The song mentions Detroit, in the, you gotta lose your mind in Detroit Rock City. The thing is that it's actually a really kind of tragic song when you listen to the lyrics and realize that the person in the song is dead by the end of the song.
Right. They made a movie of it in the late 90s.
They're killed in a car crash, which is actually based on a real life happening. Mm-hmm. Although it didn't happen in Detroit. Paul Stanley said he believed it happened in Charlotte, that someone had gotten killed outside of the arena where they were performing. And he made a song about it. And the really strange thing is that when this song came out, when it was the 45 came out, it didn't do terribly well, but the B-side went crazy. Which, when you think about it, the B-side, which was a little song called Beth,
became their first number 1 hit and broke them nationally. Yep.
But Detroit Rock City is a great song. I mean, the guitar riffs at the beginning are just awesome. I am a sucker for good guitar work. It's obviously been adopted by the Detroit sport teams, the Tigers, the Red Wings. They play it to get the crowds going and stuff like that. It's just an awesome song. It's been covered by a lot of different people, including the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones on the tribute album Kiss My Ass. It's a great song.
Did they ska it up? I don't remember. That wouldn't be very good.
And number 4, Detroit Rock City.
Before I forget covers, we totally forgot about Gary Hoey on California Dreamin'.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Hoey's cover of California Dreamin' is awesome. Number 3 has a very vague reference to New York City. So I decided it was included. It could be included. The second verse opens with the line, "On the plane, step up with both my feet, riding in seat number 3 on a flight to NYC." Do you recognize the lyric?
Yeah, I do.
Number 3, second appearance from my boys and one of my favorite songs, "Penny and Me" by Hanson. I love this song. And I'm like, I wish this had been a bigger hit. This was the last major chart hit they had. It was it's the last song they had that played major on the radio, which is just obnoxious since they've had 2 or 3 more recent songs come out that could have been radio hits if radio wasn't so biased. Oh, it's Hanson, we're not going to play that. I mean, do you deny that Thinking About Something could have been a monster hit?
It could have been a monster. It should have been a monster hit.
Get the Girl Back could have been a monster hit.
Absolutely.
And they never touched them. Penny and Me was the last song Kiss played up here. And it actually hit their top 10, which was, Boston's always been supportive. I mean, that's obvious. We go to the shows at the frickin' House of Blues. They're frickin' packed.
Yep.
You mean, they're packed all the way. The whole floor is packed. And the sides. And they are popular up here, and it's, I can't describe my love for these guys. I don't know why I fell so hard in love with them from the very first album. I remember at the time I was working for I was working for Coconuts when the album came out, Middle of Nowhere, 20 years ago this year, this summer. And I had gone into town before going to work to get some magazines, some music magazines, and there was this full-page ad in Radio and Records, which is no longer in existence, for the album. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? A brother and his 2 sisters doing an album together. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're both boys, aren't they? Because Ike was the only one that looked like a guy at the time. It was like, whoa. From that moment and the moment I first heard the album, I've been a diehard fan. And fans who've been part of the fan club, they are so good with their fans. They get extra music, all kinds of extra interaction, and they're so tuned in with their fans. I am not, however, probably ever going to have their beer touch my lips because I'm not a big beer fan. And yes, the beer is called Hops. If you haven't seen it, it is available in certain areas of the country in specialty shops, but it's mainly only available in Oklahoma. It has nothing to do with the song, but I had already talked a lot about them, and the song is kind of, you can't really describe it. It's just a love song between friends. And it has
it does have a passing reference to New York
City. So,
and it's a Hanson song, so you had to get it in.
It's a Hanson song. Oh, I tried to find a good Carpenter song to put on the list. Unfortunately, the only Carpenter song I could find with a city that really is prominent is Honolulu City Lights. And it's not Karen. I just don't like that song. It's very bland. And I'm like, okay. And I didn't put Tahoe Snow by Captain Tennille on here either.
Let's hear it for self-justification.
Number 3, Penny and Me by Hanson.
All right. Number 3 on my list probably won't surprise anybody who knows me and has known me for, a long time, knows I'm a big fan of this gentleman, have been since I was yay high. And this is just vintage him. It's just vintage stuff. It's from one of his films, and I will be the first to admit those are not celluloid treasures for the most part. But I love this song.
I was thinking of Alice Cooper. Yeah, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now I know who it is.
I do love this song. What can you say? He'll always be the king. My number 3 is Viva Las Vegas, sung by Elvis Presley.
Forgot. I had that in my head, but never put it on my list.
Yeah.
So. I love that song,
recorded
too.
for his film of the same title. He actually never sang this song live in concert, which I find very interesting.
Especially since he played Vegas like 26 weeks a year. That seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. It was the single. It was the B-side, actually. to the single "What I Say," which is also from the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just talking about the city of Vegas and how it's all about fun and lots of hot women and all kinds of it's the whole. It basically is saying whatever happens in Vegas
stays in Vegas.
And it's just a great song. It's just got this kind of, Vegas beat to it. It's just when you think about Vegas and all the shows and the glitz and the glamour and that kind of a thing, it just really feeds into that. And
who did the hit cover of it? Was that ZZ Top that had a hit with it?
ZZ Top had a
yes.
ZZ
They did
Top
a great job with it
did
too.
a version of it. It is one of two new tracks that appear on their Greatest Hits album, which came out in 1992.
I thought that was them that did a cover of that.
Another band that does it usually in concert is the Killers, who are based out of Las Vegas. It's been done by everybody from Wayne Newton, of all people.
Well, that makes sense. The man is the king of Vegas.
Right. To Dolly Parton, to the Misfits, to the Stray Cats, and...
Wait. The Misfits, the guys that used to have the album covers made up of skulls and skeletons? Oh, Lord. That's like me wanting to hear the Elvis Hitler version of Yummy, Yummy, Yummy.
Yes. Can we never listen to that again, please?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was horrifying.
No, it's a great song.
That was horrifying.
It's a great version. I'll play it sometime.
Don't you dare. It's just, like I said, it's so Elvis. I mean, you cannot...
It is, yeah.
You can't think of Elvis and not think of this song.
Can I put that in a little perspective?
What?
It's Jumpsuit Elvis. This song reeks of his days in the jumpsuits in Vegas. But if you think back 10 years to that, where he was doing, Jailhouse Rock and stuff like that, it doesn't so much evoke that memory of Elvis as it does the later one. To me,
okay. I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, showman-wise, absolutely. Oh, he knew how to rock that song.
Yeah. But it's just, like I said, it's Elvis. That's all you really have to say. My number 3, Viva Las Vegas.
I didn't put that on my honorable mentions either, and I should have. I thought of it, and I must have forgotten. My number 2 is one of my all-time favorite songs, and I've loved this song since it first came out in the fall of 1975, and I think that it's a song that doesn't get heard enough because even though it's not a Christmas song, it was first heard on a Christmas album by the artist. And because it was included on a Christmas album, people automatically think it's a Christmas song, even though it does mention winter weather and snow, but it never mentions the holidays in specific. So it's kind of like Jingle Bells or... a few of those other Winter Wonderland that don't actually have mentions of the holiday in the song, but people automatically associate it with Christmas.
All right.
And that's what's happened with this song. I had a pseudo family member that was a fanatic for the artist, and I always liked him too, but I was never that big of a fanatic. I only have like 2 or 3 of his albums. Excuse me. And but a lot of singles I have and greatest hit stuff I have. And he unfortunately left us far too young in his mid-50s, and he was an absolutely brilliant songwriter. But this song, I've had 2 cities I've wanted to be in all my life, and both of them were because of songs. Well, no, that's wrong. The French Chef is what made me want to come to Boston, and Zoom really, cemented that. But when it comes to Aspen, Colorado, it's this song, Aspen Glow by John Denver from his album Rocky Mountain Christmas. It's a very short song. It's 2 minutes and 12 seconds or something like that. But its guitar melody is utterly beautiful. And the way he describes Aspen, where he lived for over 20 years, I have always wanted to go to Aspen. We've talked a couple of times about trying to get to the Aspen Film Festival some year. It's in October. And I've actually had one of the Clotrudis members. They went and had a really good time. They said it was a really cool festival. They had a great vibe. The problem with Aspen, we're both large people. The closest real airport to Aspen is 110 miles away, and then you have to rent a car and drive. Yeah, because we can't fit in a tiny plane that can land at the Aspen airport. No. Like all these snowboarders and stuff can do when they go to the X Games, which are also in Aspen usually. What I've seen of Aspen, what I've learned about Aspen, I've learned mostly from watching X Games and watching John Denver talk about it, and one episode of $30 a Day by Rachel Ray. She went to Aspen. And I got to see parts of Aspen I'd never seen in the springtime with no snow, and it was awesome. And what was the name of it, right? 30, or was it $40 a day? It was
30.
30?
Yeah.
And it was like, I still want to go to Aspen. I still want to be actually set foot in the town and say, I've been here, it's on my bucket list, and it's because of John Denver and this beautiful song. Number 2, Aspen Glow.
Okay. Number 2 on my list is one of my favorite bands of the
now we're getting to the evocative song.
Yeah.
Not actually in the title or
no,
the song. We know what it's
actually
about.
not. It's my number 2 is Paradise City from Guns N' Roses' incredible album Appetite for Destruction. Came out in 1987.
Now, I want to say something real quick. Mm-hmm. She asked me if she could put this on her list because it doesn't mention anything specifically, and I said, it's not exactly, I mean, Paradise City is the name of a city, and it's not the name of the city in the song. To me, the song evokes Los Angeles.
Well, the song originally, from what the band has said, the song is basically talking about California.
Yeah, so the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just an amazing song. You know, it goes from this kind of bare bones aspect of it at the beginning, and then it just, you know, explodes into this enormous, grandiose song, and it's just friggin' amazing. You know, I'm sorry. I've actually mentioned this on Twitter before. When there was a point in my life I had 2 goals. 2 goals, that was it. Graduate college and go to bed with Axl Rose. I graduated college. Axl,
you didn't have a desire to like grind on the hood of Whitesnake's car?
Nope. Axl, I'll leave the light on for you. But I thought this song was just so amazing. The first time I heard this song, it was literally like getting splashed in the face with cold water. It was like, what is this? This is incredible. It's so amazing.
That wasn't even their first hit.
I know. But when you listen to the lyrics, the whole, Captain America's been torn apart. Now he's a court jester with a broken heart. I was like, what does that even mean? Who cares? It's amazing. That imagery just blew my mind. So my number 2, Paradise City.
To me, that's always, the song has always evoked the memory or the idea of the Los Angeles area. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Probably because Welcome to the Jungle is set there.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's, I don't know, it's a great song.
It is. It's an awesome song.
Oh, not going to sing it again. I'll start coughing. But number 1. Mm-hmm. My number 1 song with a city, it doesn't actually mention the city, but like Cam's Paradise City, it evokes a city when you think about it. When we first got together, when we first met in 1990 through mail, mm-hmm. we would exchange tapes of music and dialogue and talking to each other. Cassette tapes. What's a cassette, Daddy? And one time we decided to send each other our top 100 songs. Mm-hmm. She was amazed that this song was at number 1 on my list, and it still remains my all-time favorite song. I was a freshman in high school when this came out, and to me, overall, this has, I don't know if you guys have been over to my Kirkham Report website or not, or even when I used to run the Song of the Day website. The summer of 1978 was a magical time. You had radio playing every conceivable kind of music. You had disco. You had, thanks to Saturday Night Fever and Andy Gibb and the Bee Gees, you had pop stuff like this song, like Hot Child in the City by Nick Gilder. You had harder-edged rock starting to make inroads, like Wheel in the Sky by Journey, which was their first big major hit, and a few other things. And the summer of 78 also had goofy stuff like Copacabana by Barry Manilow and Christy and Jimmy McNichol's He's So Fine and a bunch of other stuff. But this song stands out above and beyond everything to me. And this album that this song's from is still one of my all-time favorite albums. I'm very sad to say that he's not with us anymore. He died a few years ago I think he died of cirrhosis of the liver. And that's the song story behind the song, too. To me, it brings up images of classic London. My number one song is Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street from 1978. Winding your way down Baker Street. What other Baker Street can you think of when you got a Londoner standing there and you're thinking, Baker Street, that's Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. And it immediately brings to London to mind. I don't know why this song just hit me when I must have been, I think it was 15 when I came out. But I've always adored it, and I still adore it. I never get sick of listening to it. And Jerry Rafferty became one of my all-time favorite singers. I was vaguely aware that he was with Steelers Wheel first, and I found their stuff later, but I mostly have most of his solo stuff over the years, and I've enjoyed it because he was such an intricately intimate songwriter and wrote some of the most introspective lyrics I've ever seen. This song, Damn Andy Gibb Anyway, never made it to number one. It was stuck at number 2 for 6 weeks in the summer of 1978, but always will hold a very sweet and honored spot. I can't even see Hanson's music coming up and knocking it out, and that says a lot, because I love Underneath is probably my second song, but this will never be topped to me. It's just it has a place in my heart I can never forget. Number 1, Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street.
Okay. Number 1 for me is, there really isn't much I can say about this song other than I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about my town. My number 1, Dirty Water.
Oh, God.
By the Standells from 1965. Which is really kind of ironic.
That's terrifying.
The Standells is a band from Los Angeles singing a song about Boston. And the crazy thing is this song has been part of my life all of my life. I can never not remember this song being on somebody's radio somewhere.
Yeah.
I heard this song.
Isn't it amazing that the song, which is just a slap in the face to Boston, was warmly greeted and embraced by local Bostonians?
Huh?
It talks about how filthy Boston Harbor is. That's the whole point of the song.
Yeah, it is. That's unfortunately that is true. There was a point in time when Boston Harbor and the Charles River were severely polluted.
Never as bad as Cleveland.
To the point where there was a point, I believe there was a point at one time where the Charles River actually caught fire.
I don't know about that. No, Cleveland caught fire. I don't think the Charles River actually did. Maybe it did. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure.
Now it's a beautiful place. Both
it is a beautiful place now. But there's just something about that song. It's just really Boston. I mean, it's got a Boston feel to it. It's
Boston feel to it.
Do you want me to throw this mouse at your head?
You're not going to throw the mouse at my head. You won't be able to do anything with your computer.
Anyway, it talks about the city as what it is, warts and all, and the fact that we love it. It's our city, frustrated women and all, and the fact that if you listen to the lyrics very carefully, they mention they made a very brief mention of the Strangler, where that's talking about obviously the Boston Strangler, which is a dark part of our history. It's just there's just something about this song that when you hear it, you just kind of move along to it, and you're just kind of like, yeah, that water was dirty, but you know what? It was ours. It's like, it's, it's, Boston's not always genteel, and it's there's a lot of working class people in Boston, which is what makes the city so awesome.
I've never thought of Boston as genteel anyway.
Well, some parts of Boston like to think they're a little more genteel than other places, Beacon Hill, Newbury Street.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
But it's Boston, and it's our town.
Our town.
Why don't you go worse?
I'm just saying it exactly the way. You can listen. She said it the same way just then.
Accent? What accent? It's the rest of the country that talks funny. My number one, the Standells, Dirty Water.
I think there's one big interesting thing about both our lists.
What?
Neither of us picked any of the major songs mentioning New York City. New York, New York. No, but I mean New York, New York, or New York State of Mind. None of those were on here. No. My top 10.
Well, that's I don't know if that's. I can't speak for you, but I grew up in Massachusetts, and we always have this New York versus Boston thing.
I know. My top 10 are as follows. My number 10 was Little Old Lady from Pasadena by Jan and Dean. Number 9, Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohn. Number 8, Man from Milwaukee by Hanson. Number 7, Indianapolis by Menudo. Number 6, The MTA by the Kingston Trio. Number 5, Route 66, the Manhattan Transfer version. Number 4, Pop Music by M. Number 3, Penny and Me by Hanson. Number 2, Aspen Glow by John Denver. And number 1, Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty.
And my top 10 are, as I said, I have a tie at number 10. 10B is Godzilla by the Blue Oyster Cult. And 10A is California Love by Tupac Shakur, featuring Dr. Dre and Roger Troutman. Number 9, Folsom Prison Blues, sung by Johnny Cash. Number 8, Good Morning Baltimore. I'm going with the Nikki Blonsky version.
Yeah.
Number 7, I've Been Everywhere, the Johnny Cash version. Number 6, California Dreamin', sung by the Mamas and the Papas. Number 5, MTA, sung by the Kingston Trio. Number 4, Detroit Rock City, sung by Kiss. Number 3, Viva Las Vegas, sung by Elvis Presley. Number 2, Paradise City, sung by Guns N' Roses. And number 1, Dirty Water, sung by the Standells.
Okay.
Okay.
So those are our top 10s for this week.
Yes. And I think they were really great.
I do too. We'll have as many of these songs as we can find, plus a ton of other songs, both from my honorable mentions list and ones I've thought of since, on a Spotify playlist in the next day or two, and it should be up with by Saturday. You can check them out if you've never heard them. Okay.
Okay.
My turn.
All right.
We'd love to have your list to feature, but we can't feature it if you don't send it in. Front row at PNRNetworks.com. You get on, you get a prize, you get your name on the site, name on the show. Write to us. I don't think I've done this for this, and I thought it would tie in with our final week of Masochistic March on Subject Cinema.
Okay.
Our top 10 favorite bad films.
Okay.
These are bad films that are considered bad films that we love to watch. Not bad films that are so bad we can't stand them, like Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. I love doing that to her.
You can be a real pain in the ass.
I'm talking about the 10 films that you think are terrible, but are fun terrible.
Yeah.
The terrible films you love to watch over and over again.
Gotcha.
I don't think we've ever done it on this show. I know we've done it on Subject Cinema's, like Scenes at Sizzle or one of those. We've done those. And we've seen tons of them since then, too.
Yeah.
So, our top 10 favorite bad films, and they have to be considered bad by most people.
Right.
It can't be a movie that everybody else thinks is good, but we don't, like The Future by Miranda July, for example. And then we'll see what kind of fun comes out of that.
Yeah.
Because it'll be awesome. We also have a bunch of other shows that we do here at PNR Networks. You want to tell us about them?
Okay. Those shows would include Subject Cinema,
Woo!
which is our movie podcast.
Right on the same feed.
Yeah. TC and I talk about movies and do movie reviews and news and all kinds of fun, crazy things, and we have a lot of fun, and we hope you'll check that out over at subjectcinema.com. We each have solo shows. My solo show is Platinum Rose's Garden, which is my Supernatural podcast. I look at that week's episode of Supernatural, do a recap of it, break it down, talk about what I liked, what worked, what didn't work, and all kinds of Supernatural news and anything else I can think of to put on that week's show.
Lots of soapboxing.
I will warn you, it is not safe for work.
And it is seasonal, only during the Supernatural season.
Yes. And TC's solo show is Catastrophe Vortex, where he talks about disaster movies. All about movies that include fire and flood and pestilence and plane crashes and everything else you can think of.
Yay. My favorite genre.
Yeah. So you can come check him out at Catastrophe Vortex. And there is also Cavebabble, which is a really fun show done by our friends, the Lion family, Eric and Valerie, and their kids and grandkids and mailmen and meter readers and whoever else they can get to stop by and talk on the mic. They talk about movies and games and music, and Cavebabble eats odd things and all kinds of fun stuff, and they're super cool people, and we hope you will check them out at Cavebabble.
At address?
At cavebabble.com.
Yeah. Plus, we have our 2 mini shows every week, Front Row, 3-Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex. 3-Minute Weekend covers each week's releases in the U.S., both major and independent. It's on Fridays at 10 Eastern Time. And Tuesdays at 10 Eastern is Tuesday Digidex. We run down all the new releases on DVD, Blu-ray, and on-demand streaming, including Netflix and occasionally Amazon Prime, which is really, really, really a bitch to find info on. So I do my best with it, though. Mm-hmm. And we have 1 or 2 other projects coming up maybe this summer.
Yeah. But
we can't do them without your help, and that is our Patreon campaign. If everybody that listens to our shows donates $2 a month, makes a commitment to donate $2 a month, it'll help pay for a lot of our expenses. We've got some, we have monthly expenses and, web hosting and stuff, but we also need some new computer equipment. We'd like to expand our film festival coverage and bring it all, and the more we can get as help to do this, the better the shows can get, because we'll be doing our best to use that money to make the shows better for you, our listener. Full information. We have stuff from $2 to $100 a month, and you can go over and look at it and all the perks that are available. But just $2 a month can be a big game changer. Mm-hmm. So please donate. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Next week, our top 10 favorite bad films.
Yep.
That's going to be fun.
Yes, it will.
And by the way, if you're into film festivals and you hear this now, I am working my buns off doing coverage of the eCinemaBoston Boston Springs Festival. It is spring festival season, 10 festivals in 9 weeks, and it's absolutely insane. All the schedules, all the shows, little bits on the movies, the venues, the schedules, and the festivals themselves. eCinemaBoston, more than one post a day usually, and then as we get closer and closer to May 20th and 21st, we'll tell you more about this year's Boston Springs Festival Double Play Weekend. Mm-hmm. So definitely check it out at eCinemaBoston.com.
Yeah. And we hope that you will come back next week and help us count up our next countdown here on Front Row 5 and 10. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.